Good morning, Guardians. Welcome to a very special episode of Tower Casuals. I am your host, Josh, as always, and I'm joined today by our three favorite Tower Casuals LFG members. You have A1 Johnny, you've got Colonel Panic, and you've got Nerd Generalist. Boys, we just saw the Destiny showcase. What is our initial, one-sentence reaction?
Stasis Trace Rifle.
That's not one.
Nerd, what was your quick reaction?
Oh man, Hive Guardians. That's it. 2 words.
I may or may not have elicited a scream that says they have Top Tree Dawnblade. That's not fair.
I'm really about to get blade barraged by a Hive wizard, and I'm
oh god damn it! They don't get shards though. They're not allowed to use shards.
Well, it's a good thing they nerfed shards then.
I know, right? Colonel Panic, give me your quick reaction.
Overwhelmed.
I think that's probably the best one right there. We were in a Skype or in a Discord chat, me, Colonel, and Nerd, and I apologized multiple times for the sounds that were leaving my mouth because they were almost incomprehensible.
Squeals is a good word for it.
Yeah, I was like a fat kid at Christmas dinner. Like, there's just nothing better than a fat kid seeing pie. That was essentially that was 30 minutes of me seeing pie at Thanksgiving dinner. It was pretty great. So let's start at the top. Pre-show I think was really cool. I always like seeing artwork from the community, seeing some videos from people like Datto and T-Rex, that have been big in the community for years. D1 Flawless, seeing them say, what the community means to them. And we got a rare Jason Jones appearance. The last time I think I heard Jason speak was when he first talked about Destiny to Ryan McCaffrey back in 2012. Mm-hmm. I think it's legitimately been about 9 years. And it's kind of a bizarre conversation that happened. They didn't really have anything to do with Destiny. It was more about, this is our 30th anniversary, and he's just kind of an eccentric dude. But after that, it was kind of refreshing to see an event like this where Luke Smith and Mark Noseworthy were not on stage at all. I love Luke and Mark. They're overseeing the entire franchise now, though, as the co-franchise directors. I think letting people, Joe Blackburn and Justin Sherman leading the whole thing.
The mustache in all its glory.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I love that stash. The power of the stash, man. They wasted no time. That trailer for the Witch Queen. I've said for years, nobody makes a height or a reveal trailer like Bungie. And this may just be the biggest one we've ever gotten. Seeing the Hive go, Savathun having like moth-style wings. Seeing the full armor reveals for all 3 classes. And then, of course, getting, the first hints that they have subclasses, that the Hive now have subclasses. At the end of it, I was like, holy shit, is that all they're going to show us from this? Because, we are about 6-7 months out right now from Witch Queen. It's launching 2/22/22.
6 months.
6 months. 6 months. Basically 6 months to the day, then.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
But I don't know. Is there a whole lot to really say on the CG trailer?
I mean, it was
for you guys, because that's always like a proof of concept, right?
I feel like whenever I'm about to watch a CG trailer, I'm always prepared to I don't want to say be disappointed, but okay, whatever is happening in this thing, it's not going to live up to the CG trailer. I think of part of the reason, outside of my absolute fear of not wanting to get addicted to something as bad as I know that I would, like World of Warcraft, I never wanted to play the game because I'm I don't think I can dip my toe in that water. I know that I would not get out. I just know my personality. I can't do it.
Lost down a hole and never return. Yeah.
Right. But the CG trailers, I remember always seeing the trailers and then watching the gameplay and be like, those two don't match to me at all. But I feel like Destiny doesn't do, I feel like the more recent trailers, that's pretty accurate as far as what the game feels like in that moment. It sets a tone. Mm-hmm. You usually get a taste of the music. They usually show some sort of power or weapon or or you can want to call it a particle effect if you really want to get nerdy about it. Be all that stuff appears in the game that you play. Yeah. It's weird that I am now excited for something that's going to happen 6 months from now.
So the thing that I really enjoyed, and I'm watching it now as we're talking about it, with the opening CG trailer, is it immediately sets a tone, and I think they've been toying with this sort of like, I want to call it horror, but it's not horror. It's definitely like darker themes. And just all of the gameplay and all of the cinematics and stories for a while. And this one just like fully dives into it. From the moment we see the Guardians walking through that forest or the jungle or whatever the hell it is, the armor that they're wearing is all darker and like there's cage motifs on it. I mean, you've got the things flying through the forest. It's dark, and I love that direction that we're going in with these cinematics specifically.
Yeah, I think probably the easiest comparison to draw is when we think about the Forsaken reveal, and we saw Cade's death leading up to that. We got multiple CG trailers, and they all ended up being in game. And then last year with Beyond Light, we got that awesome trailer with Elsie, with Eris, and with Drifter. And I like that this is shifting into. We always say it's a new era for Destiny every year, right? But it really feels like this time, like we're in the Age of Darkness. Like, we started wielding it last year. I think this pretty much confirms there's no new subclasses if they're going to fix all the light subclasses this year. Yeah. Listen, for a game where I think all of us took substantial time off this year, and not because it was bad or anything, but because like they finally released seasonal content in a way that we could take some breaks and not feel like we were missing out. I think that's going to keep us engaged. Like there's going to be a new subclass or a new element to grind every season, starting with Void, right? I think we all agree across the board, probably Void needs the most love between the Hunter, Titan, and Warlocks. I think that's a great move, especially if they keep the changes they've done to the stasis fragments and aspects of you only have to do it on one character to unlock it across all. I think that's really good. You combine that with some of the new exotics we saw this year, like Falling Star especially, and I'm curious to see how that's going to work.
I'm curious to see if we're even going to have to earn them, because I think it would feel kind of bad to have them take away powers that we already have. You know what I mean?
Agree.
I don't think they'll take away powers. I see it as a way like they'll keep the base powers there, like what we have, and when you earn when you add aspects and fragments, you can swap things out. Like this is the base. This is like this is the cookie cutter version, but if you want to buy a DL, equivalent it to like buying a single player game and getting some DLC, right? This is the add-on. This is what's going to make it better. Like you're going to have specific aspects and fragments that are better in PvP or better in Gambit.
I'm so excited to see how it works. Like, am I going to be able to equip Icarus Dash and Well of Radiance at the same time? Maybe give up a Healy Grenade or something else from that subclass to mix and match the abilities across the tree?
Well, that's why I think this is the descent into full-on MMO territory, right? Yeah. Being able to mix and match like that. We've seen that. We saw it with Stasis, but that's only one class you can really like super customize. I think this brings a variety to builds that we've always wanted, but having this, to me, this is a change on par with Armor 2.0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is equivalent to not having double primaries. This is equivalent, or being able to have double primaries, at the beginning of D2. But then, when you go into Forsaken, they do, we got Armor 2.0 with Shadowkeep, but they changed up weapons in Forsaken. I think something big like that has to happen every year. This feels like the last major change coming for at least the Light and Dark saga.
Well, that and weapon crafting. But
weapon crafting is what we're going to go into next.
Well, so to talk about the classes for a second, I literally, and we can talk about this more when we talk about kind of like the hive and the stuff later, if we get to that. But like, if we're going to start seeing changes to subclasses and like having varieties to subclasses maybe we didn't have before, I wonder if these hive guardians are going to also have it. Like, I wonder if you're going to run into like different types of solar subclass guardian hive. Like, I wonder how those changes are going to go from us to them, and see kind of how that works out.
Well, they've talked about having like a poison-esque subclass, like a green one, right? Like almost like Thorn, that you would see. I wouldn't be surprised that after they might have one that's unique to them, that then at the end maybe that we wield to get another darkness one.
Yeah,
it's what I don't know.
I mean, and with with the changes to the subclasses, I mean, if they're going to update those every season, there's literally no between that and them saying that you will get a dungeon or a raid every 3 months. There is no limit to what you can do with seasons now.
Oh yeah, and depending on how they ship these new updated classes, I mean, every season the meta is going to shake up considerably depending on what you can do. I mean, you're refreshing what is that, 9 classes across all the characters every season.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. It's part of an ever-changing meta, and I've seen people complain like, well, why does the meta need to change? Why can't Bungie just leave things the way that they are? And it's like, well, this is an ongoing game. Like, it's going to get really it's going to get stale if 120 hand cannons are the only good thing in Crucible. Like, people are going to hate that, even people who use them. That's how you lose players. By keeping it fresh, it encourages you to try new things, but it also encourages Bungie to try new things, I think, too, right? Like,
well, we all remember the Recluse Mountaintop one-eyed mask meta.
I mean, we saw you and I did a private Crucible match the other night with some friends, and one of our buddies, Phil, broke out Mountaintop. I broke out Recluse, and it's just John was losing a lot of firefights, like with that he should have won, just because I was able to spam Recluse. And it reminds you how infuriating it is to play against things like that. And
right.
I liked that one of the things we're going into with Witch Queen, it seems like we're not getting anything sunset. They would have had to tell us at the top of the season. I liked that. There's nothing. It seems like there's nothing going into the vault. There's only stuff coming out of the vault.
It seems like, yeah. I didn't hear anything specific.
I mean,
there could come a time where they do vault Forsaken stuff, but I don't think they would take away the Tangled Shore or the Dreaming City. I kind of feel like
if it's that important to the Season of the Lost, you can't.
Yeah, well, I just think that the biggest reason that so much stuff did get vaulted is because it was such a pain in the ass on their end to convert everything over to their updated engine. So they needed a smaller, a smaller game to work with to make that happen. So everything should be additive moving forward, I would imagine.
Also, you can't make all of those spaces interesting at the same time.
Right.
Like it's engine aside, it's so much easier to be like, oh, here's an event to do here. Here's something to do here. Like, I'm glad that we're going to be going back to the Dreaming City to like do stuff. It's such a great space. It's so big.
Still my favorite place in Destiny.
It's so cool.
It's awesome.
Go ahead.
No, I was just couldn't be happier about. And the more that they can do that with more spaces, like, I will be excited if Mars comes back and like it's interesting. Like, I'm all for it. But it was definitely so dry.
Now we'll have
it's been dry
Crawl
twice
instead of Frosty Crawl.
Yeah.
It's been dry twice now. But I agree. Like, this year, I like that we put an emphasis on zones that we don't go to a whole lot. There wasn't a whole lot going on in the EDZ. Thank God. I'm tired of the fucking EDZ. But when you went there, it was for the Cabal quests because we had to go in and do things in lost sectors. I like reasons to repurpose zones, like the Battlegrounds did on Nessus and on Europa. Like, those are great. Use those spaces.
Let us not forget Seraph Towers. Beautiful use of the EDZ.
I said this year. I'm talking about the good year. I think that's one of the biggest strengths, though, is the change to seasons that we've seen, and that they're going to keep that going forward. You know, we already mentioned, the dungeons and the raids every 3 months. The commitment to weapons, like we saw this in the TWAB last week. We've gotten a huge weapon slate each of the last 2 seasons, and now a 3rd season in a row, repurposing weapons. It looks like Shattered Throne is probably going to be repurposed now during Season of the Lost. These are things that you need to keep this game fresh and long. Like, I don't mind activities I've been doing for 3 or 4 years, redoing them or redoing the loot pool entirely, even if it's the same encounters, to get me back in there. We were talking about this last night or the other night, John.
Yeah. I mean, that's what makes the game feel alive to me, is when the space changes. Like, it, as much as I love Cade and I wish that a character like him was still in there, I feel like it's weird. It's jarring when I go back and play Strikes and like he's like his voice is there or something like that. Especially when like that's been such a long time and like so many other things have happened. And it like everything else kind of fits in the narrative of Destiny, but stuff like that, like I'm all for it. Like, and I get that it's hard to do, and maybe there's like a little bit longer window, but like when the Cabal is gone, like I don't want to see Cabal in the game as much anymore, or like have them be different.
I'll be honest, it feels a little weird when I'm in the Glassway just murdering Elixni over and over and over. You know, after what we just went through this season, it feels a little dissonant, you know.
It feels a little dirty.
Yeah,
Taught me how to love. Let me love.
These are my people.
Y'all can come to the tower. We're cool, man. I'm just here to fight
I'm going to need Saint and Mithrax to come out singing Guy Love from Scrubs. So let's shift a second. Let's talk about the weapon crafting. So we don't know a whole lot about weapon crafting right now. Just that the more that you use a weapon, the more customization you're going to be able to have. This is what I want, because it's just so grueling doing that to unlock a fucking Umbral Ingram. I would much rather do this to be able to customize my sights, my perks, maybe even the archetypes.
D1.
Yeah, it's reminiscent of D1, right? Like, it's the same concept.
Set list of perks that you were grinding to unlock, where this sounds like you're going to be able to, I don't know if you'll just be able to straight up choose your perks, but
this looks like a Destiny Home Depot, and I'm okay with it.
I don't want to get too excited, but I don't know if y'all played Fable, but I've been in love with that idea of, like, okay, if you killed a lot of one type of enemy, the weapon would start looking like that enemy. It would be themed after it. Stuff like that is what I'm hoping to see here, you know?
I also I would love it if my play style, the game kind of pushed me along in a direction. The part about Destiny, and this is probably just me that I get overwhelmed with, is like, there's all these options now, and it's just like, I know how I play, but I also don't know how that fits in a slot that's predefined within the game. I would love it if it's like, oh, every time this guy reloads, I reload after every kill. It's a thing.
Yeah.
I can't stop.
Once you've played enough Halo, you just have to.
Yeah.
I would
reload after a
like,
desktop.
if they're like, you know what, this guy has reloaded 10,000 times with this one gun. Let's either give him a bigger magazine to push him along, or like the reload speed is like super short now. Like, I would love that type of thing. I'm not expecting that, but if I can at least edit my gun or mod,
just being
whatever,
able to choose your masterwork or change the masterwork.
I would love that.
Masterwork alone would be so great.
This is one of those things that I feel benefits the people who want this to be their main title, and they're like the one and only thing they play, who stream it. I mean, this is a game that I feel like the four of us collectively play more than almost anything. Even if we're playing variety, we're playing other games. Things like this will keep me in the game longer.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, I've always been a proponent of, like, give me an excuse to play your game. Like, give me the option to go grind for things. If there's crafting, give me the option to go and craft a very specific role. I have long overplayed my time in Fallout 76 because there's things that I can grind for a very long period of time to get. And there's really no reason for me to do it other than the fact that I want it, and I there's a path to go get it. And it's, as long as I just throw enough time at it, I'll get it. So I'm all aboard. Give me as much as you possibly can, and I'll do it.
Also,
go ahead.
If that's the type of thing that we can start doing, because I work from home, Nerd, you work from home now. Like, I can't do a raid or a dungeon in the middle of the day, but I sure as hell can kill like 1,000 of one enemy type just sitting here mindlessly, like moments at a time. I'm all for it. I want that arc, but I also want those moments where it's like, hey, do you want to grind this for 2 hours and like go numb? Do it. I'm like, okay, I can do that.
Go ahead, John. Last thoughts, and then let's move on to the glaive after this.
Yeah. So just last thoughts on the weapon crafting and upgrading. Once you find a gun or a loadout that you love, that speaks to you, for me it's Fatebringer and Plug One. I just love it. I would, once I find that loadout and whatever the meta is in the Witch Queen, I love that I'll be able to sit there and enhance that loadout and really say that this is my loadout.
Well, and them saying that you can upgrade raid weapons through this really excites me.
Yep, and they said they'll slowly be bringing other vanilla guns, other guns into that system moving forward. It's not just going to be the new loot.
Right, which I think that's critical, right? Because we've seen how bad the implementation can be when we bring things back, such as with the lectern on the moon. But I think this was always where this was going to ultimately progress. If you look at the chalice, you look at the lectern, You look even at Umbral Ingrams. This was the next logical step, I think, and it probably took us a little bit longer to get there than it should have. But I'm so glad that this is coming, and it's coming with a new archetype. It's coming with the Glaive, which works as both short range and long range. It's just, John, you're kind of the melee king. I need to know what you think of a first-person melee weapon that can also shoot projectiles.
And it's in the energy slot.
And
I've been
it's in
begging
energy
for
slot.
a melee weapon in the energy slot. I love swords, but I don't use it in a lot of content because even when swords are good, you're giving up your heavy weapon, and not
Right.
everything can be sworded. You know, I am beyond excited. I might even hop on my hunter. I'm thinking Omni Oculus. You know, constant smoke in the Crucible, run up behind a guy with that thing. I am just so excited.
Right. I think that this is good, right? We've seen new archetypes get introduced before, like with vanilla D2. We had grenade launchers. We had both heavy. We had heavy. We had breach loaders, and we had trace rifles. You know, we had the first trace rifle show up, and then with Forsaken, you had bows. It's been a little while since we introduced something new to the meta. Yeah. Really, this last year has been year of the sword in a lot of ways. From Falling Guillotine to Lament to the class swords coming back and, you know, being top tier. It's been really awesome. And I'm excited to see this. And I want to know, just, God, I got to get my hands on this. The fact you get to craft your first one is awesome.
And that it shoots, too. I wonder if there'll be different glaives that have different firing types. You know what I mean?
I would say it's probably something you'll be able to upgrade at some point.
So the thing that I'm seeing here, I'm watching the portion with the glaive in it here, is there's definitely seems to be a difference between the damage that it does in the energy slot than something in the heavy slot. I'm watching in the gameplay footage them go after what I would assume be like a hive, like not a major, but definitely like a yellow, like an orange bar, and it's taking like a couple, like 3 hits at close range to kill it. So it's not going to be like a crown splitter where we're running up there and just heavy striking and taking everything out. This is definitely going to be something that you're going to have to use situationally, and I think that's cool that it's not just going to come out and be OP like any other melee weapon we've seen before.
Yeah, you're definitely going to have to build into it if you want to use this thing, you know. Get that resilience up, boys.
They also mentioned combos with it, right? Like that you could do some sort of chaining. We saw that partially with some of the swords from the most recent release, but I'd be interested to see kind of what that looks like. Is it like where you like shoot the projectile, then do this and this, or is it just like hitting the same button does like kind of like a different cadence?
Oh, yeah. It'd be cool. It'd be cool if the combos like enhance the damage on the shot, or likewise the other way around. That'd be kind of cool.
That's what I'm really curious about.
You kill 3 thrall back to back and then hit that orange bar.
Oh man,
you know,
I want to be in the middle of like a mosh pit of thrall and just be able to like keep hitting and doing combos and chaining them together. I don't want to take a whole platoon out. That's what I want to do.
I don't know, Colonel. I think that a full, like, I know we don't have anything in the primary slot for that, but like having a melee glaive and a sword in the power, that seems like
give me a short sword or like a dagger in the primary slot.
Oh man.
And I'm thinking this is where your neutral game is going to shine a lot if you really build into your grenade and melee to supplement you wading into people with an energy melee weapon, you know.
Yeah,
be a lot of fun.
I think this is awesome. And beyond that, like we're getting the stasis legendaries. We got a sneak peek at some. I know we were all yelling when we saw the hand cannon that was freezing people. But this exotic trace rifle, John, you called this one. You a couple nights ago you were telling me you're like, I'm gonna lose my shit if they announce a trace rifle with stasis. Like, come on, Bungie, it's time.
I'm a little disappointed that it's exotic, but I'll take it.
I do think it's beyond time for legendary trace rifles, but this looks awesome. This looks like I mean, obviously it's the only trace rifle we've gotten. Well, the second one we've gotten since Divinity, but I don't know. I think it's good that we've moved. We had the 3 for the basic elements, and now you've had Divinity, Ruinous Effigy, and I don't remember the name of this one off the top of my head. I don't even know if they said it. You got the Stasis exotic, and it looks awesome. The exotic linear fusion looks cool.
Yeah.
Looks like for every headshot you get like a token, and when you get the 3, boom, you can like fire off a burst instead.
Arbalest too. Never heard of her.
It's like
Old news.
Arbalest and Vex Mythoclast had a baby.
Yeah.
Or Arbalest and Jotun might be a more apt description. Please give Jotun a full court. This is
Don't
your
invoke
daily
that
message.
name right now. This is a good time. This is a happy time.
I think that's one area where Destiny has really shined at in the last year or two is just the creativity when it comes to the weapons and to what you earn. Like even if it's the legendary weapons, I mean, look at how many we talked about Falling Guillotine earlier. You go from Guillotine to Deafening Whisper with the blind. It's just become a favorite of a few of us.
Yep.
You've had some awesome SMGs. Of course, we've all struggled against Fell winners this year coming back from D1. And I think we've gotten to a point where there's a healthy mix of Destiny 1 weapons. I like that there's a healthy balance between D1 weapons and new weapons, especially when it comes to Nightfalls. John, you and I grinded out a lot for some Hung Juries, some Uzums, especially this last weekend.
Yeah.
But thank God for the Inverted Spire. I think we've all got that one down to a science, even on Master.
Oh, yeah.
I'm fully stocked up on materials. I like that. I love double Nightfall weeks. They're so great.
Well, I like that it allows them to kind of fluff up the loot pool. If my choice is between getting only new weapons or this, I'll take this every time. And
absolutely,
I like that it's stuff you don't earn in other activities too. I like that there's stuff for. The only thing I would make as a change to Nightfalls is please give me the regular strike weapons as well. That's a big complaint of mine. Like if I'm going to spend 35 minutes in a Grandmaster Nightfall, I still want a shot at those regular strike weapons.
Yeah, in terms of rewards for me, the logical thing is always having tiers. You have your strike, which is your base tier of loot, and then Nightfalls, you get another piece of loot on top of that, and then Grandmasters are always something more. You should always get the loot from the lower tiers as well, in my opinion, if you're gonna do it.
So we've got we got three major things left to get to. Let's talk trials real fast. Real quick, let's talk trials. Matchmaking, and they're completely changing how rewards work.
Anti-cheat.
Anti-cheat's going to be... We're going to talk about anti-cheat because there's actually an article up on Bungie.net that I have pulled up for us.
All right.
These are two things that are sorely needed. Trials, freelance. I love it. The weekend that this goes live, I'm out of town. I'm going to be in Florida trying to play Trials on a Backbone controller over hotel Wi-Fi.
Love it.
Very excited.
Flawless.
And this solves the problem that, John, you and I run into this with Max, for example. He works, really wonky hours, and sometimes it's really hard to get him into Trials on the weekends to get his loot. This solves that.
Yeah.
For me, I'm 2 hours ahead of you. This solves it for me. Okay, maybe I don't need to wait until midnight for three of us to be available. I can just get on 7 or 8.
This is going to help the player pool as a whole. Yeah. We all know Trials goes better when there's more people in there because it's less likely to run against just to get shit stomped by three, gilded flawless people every round.
And I think this will encourage people to go try Trials out.
Yeah.
It'll encourage me.
Yeah, and getting rewards from just winning rounds and completing matches.
I have such a hard time playing Trials, setting aside time. My weekends are super packed. Hopefully in the winter it won't be like that, but it's tough for me to do it, let alone for me to orchestrate getting 2 other people to join with. And then also feeling I don't get to experience it enough to even know how to present myself or what I'm going to be doing once I go in there. So it always just feels like wasted time. So if I can jump in, if I've got a spare 30 minutes on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday that I can just jump in really quick and just try stuff out. So then when we have a team, I can jump in and feel confident. I will play Trials.
Yeah, and that we saw a healthy change come to comp when that happened too. When we got freelance, it made it more attainable for guys to go in and do freelance and earn things like Recluse and Mountaintop.
I would say it wasn't until then that I actually was able to go earn Recluse.
Right. So I think that's great. And then, we mentioned anti-cheat, of course. Corey and I talked about it briefly last week. It's Battle Eye. It's the same thing that Rainbow Six Siege uses. It's not the best thing in the world, but it is a start. It is definitely better than what you have right now in that game. According to the security update that just got published, win trading and account recoveries are now bannable offenses, insta-bans, perma-bans.
Nice.
Wait, did you say recoveries are
included? Recoveries and win trading are both insta-bans.
Get the fuck out.
I like this. Bungie I want to read their definition of win trading real quick, so nobody's confused here. Bungie defines win trading as intentionally granting other players wins in PvP. This includes, but is not limited to, manipulating matchmaking by any means to force match with specific opponents or coordinating with opponents to provide uncontested victories. We are now targeting players for bans who are actively engaging in win trading. The ultimate goal is protecting the competitive environment of PvP by removing the ability to bypass the effort that players put in to earn rewards. Account recoveries. So things that will get you banned. Charging others to recover their account for boosting, earning items, completing content, etc. Recovering accounts in exchange for anything of value but not limited to Patreon, subscribers, followers, gift cards, etc. Paying somebody to recover your account to be boosted, have items earned, etc. Boosting recoveries done for free can also result in bans and restrictions. And then they have some not recommended things, and that's mainly for account security, like letting your kids play on your account, sharing an account with a bunch of people, etc., etc. Sorely needed. I will wait and see before I rejoice about some of these, because these have been problems for years, and they've been alerted to these, and some of those accounts are still active. A lot of them are still active, actually. So I'm curious to see if like that's some of the people they've hired are like going to be specifically only be monitoring this kind of stuff, because trials is where you see this at, right? You see it in trials, and you see it occasionally for like master raids. So I think this is great in theory, but I need to see the implementation before I get too excited here.
You got to start somewhere. I'm happy.
You do.
Doing it.
And I feel like this is again, we say better late than never. This is something that should have been in place 18 months ago when Trials launched. And it just simply wasn't. And this really wasn't a huge issue when it was only on console. Like, people bring up D1 Trials, I'm like, oh, D1 Trials never had this. It wasn't on fucking Steam, you idiot.
Yeah,
like,
and it wasn't free to play.
Yeah, it wasn't
So
free.
even if you were
I am
cheating,
surprised that they have not announced a paywall for this yet. So
Yeah, really
we'll
excited.
See. I mean,
to
things
get
can always
Trials.
change. Damage just confirmed we're going to get more info about Trials later today, actually. Later today and tomorrow, in terms of rewards, in terms of passages, things like that. So Corey and I will cover that on Thursday. That's another thing added to the ever-growing pile. Season of the... Now that it's finished, it's finished installing on my TV. Season of the Lost. Again, real quick, I told y'all last week, we're going to talk about a lot of this coming week, but the long and the short of it is, we're back in the Dreaming City, baby. We're going to the Ascendant Plane a lot.
That's great. That's great.
This
Two
is great.
of my
It looks
favorite
like
environments.
It's one of the most underappreciated and underused environments. We used it for the epilogue of the I almost said the Taken King, Forsaken. And we basically have never gone back there for anything meaningful.
What are you talking about? We went back there for Wrathborn hunts.
Oh,
Yeah.
he said
Get the fuck
meaningful.
out.
Said meaningful. To be fair,
I mean, don't get me wrong. The High Solo mission is dope, but I've done it like 25 times and still don't have that goddamn ship.
Josh, there would have been a meaningful reason to go if you would have done legit Riven with me.
Oh God, I hate you.
I would still do it.
This looks really cool. It looks like a 6-person activity there. It looks like we're going to be doing something with the Shattered Throne, whether that's a story mission or whatever. We're going to be going back there. I still wonder what Mara's doing with Faux Cyrus there. I got to know that.
You were looking for an excuse to put Faux Cyrus out there.
No, I was going to do it anyways. It's all good. Again,
I'm seeing a lot of 6-person activities being talked about. We saw this one for the seasonal thing, the anniversary activity, which we'll talk about, I'm sure, in a little bit.
Yep,
and
that's
then
gonna be the last. We're gonna end on that.
In some of the gameplay footage, there were six people. I noticed 6 Guardians on a couple of times. So looks like focus is being shifted to larger fire teams.
And I like that, because that's been one of the biggest complaints for a long time. Also, by the way, Nerd, your patch notes are live. I think that's been one of the biggest things we've complained about. Like, we all liked doing Battlegrounds, but it was kind of a bummer to go to 3-person activities after we, were doing things like Arrivals content, where it was a big public event, and like you could only bring in 2 buddies, but you could have a bunch of people join in, right?
Yeah.
Seraph Towers, which fucking sucked. For me, the thing I keep going back to is the Sundial into the Menagerie. Those were such fun activities. It was the overrides, even though I got bored in them, because we had to do them so much over so many different activities for bounties, etc. It was still a relief to get to do that, but you still had the 3-person activity in Expunge. And I like that they seem to be striking a healthy balance. It's either you have 3 people or you have 6 people. And I'm fine with it being a lot more enemies now with these new consoles. I think they are still hamstrung by what you can do on Xbox right? But getting more enemies on the screen is bigger and better than ever. Doing the Last City Override last night, where I was the only person above 1300 light in there, was awesome. I felt like it truly felt like a last stand. Like trying to manage the enemies coming from all four directions. It's just like everybody keeps dying on me. Like it gave me that power fantasy that we always talk about. Like that role-playing aspect of this. And I'm excited to see that evolve this season. Whether it's through new loot, it's through the storytelling. I think we can all agree the last two seasons have been some of the strongest storytelling they've ever done outside of a major release like The Taken King or Forsaken.
Well, they're stretching out their storytelling finally. Like I feel like they've gotten into like, okay, this is what we'll do at the major release, and then we'll have this much for this week, then we'll have this much for this season. Like, and it feels, again, like I get excited now every couple weeks to like go back and log into Destiny.
Right.
And if they give me, and this is a long season, it's painfully long in a lot of ways, but there is a lot of stuff that I feel like that we get to, a lot of seasonal stuff that we get to do that, I don't know, I'm excited. My download finished. I'm like really itching.
I know.
I'm
ready to
queued
get
right
out
now.
of here to edit this and get on with you guys.
I got my Bungie name.
What
I'm
else
in
do
the
we
queue,
got?
baby.
The Bungie event stuff.
This is the last thing we're going to talk about. There have been rumors for months now about this. I'm so happy that this ended up being true. There is a 30th anniversary event coming this fall. It is an add-on season, which I'm less stoked about, but it is happening. I want to get the exact details of what this includes real quick. If anybody has that on hand.
I just progressed past it, unfortunately, but we do know that it includes, does it include Gallarhorn?
Yes.
It does include, so it does, the big things is, it does include, there is going to be a new dungeon. There's going to be a 6-person activity that is free to everybody. Everybody can do this activity, I believe. And then there's going to be a paid portion of this. And the paid portion, to my understanding, is how you get Gallarhorn. There will be a quest to obtain Gallarhorn. There will be armor inspired by Marathon and by other Bungie franchises. Guys, just cut the shit. We know what we know what this is, right?
Hmm?
We know you're giving us Halo armor. Just stop beating around the bush. I wouldn't be shocked to see it.
I have the pack info. If you did you pull it up, Josh?
Radiant Dance Machines are back this season. Yes.
I just sent that to you.
Yes. D1 exotics, baby. All right, yes, send me that info, nerd. I would be able to break this down real quick.
Well, I can just call it out, and I'll send you.
Call it out. Do it.
So we're getting an exotic weapon, a new dungeon, 4 emotes, an exotic ship and sparrow, 2 universal ornament sets, and a unique helmet ornament with the Bungie 30th edition anniversary pack, and that is the paid version.
Man, this looks awesome. I can't wait for this. This is when they started talking about the future. I'm really excited about that. I love that AS Luna is a legendary hand cannon from Destiny 1. People have been asking for it. It's back. It's God, man, I can't wait for this. I really cannot wait to see what happens here. I'm scrolling through to see if I can find any of the exact information about the pack, but right now, what do we think overall? I know we all summed it up in a sentence at the beginning. Thank you for that. I'm opening this real fast. Exotic weapon, new dungeon 4. Yeah,
it's the same thing I just called out. Yeah, that's not anything.
And I don't remember if they gave us a price, but I think it's $25. It is 25. You can actually pre-order it right now with your digital collector's edition.
Okay, I will.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, let me get the credit card out. This is the
weird.
one thing I'll be able to actually buy. I think this is awesome. This is how they solve the solution of this is a really long season. I know that there's going to be a lot of people who will bitch and moan, like, oh, we have to pay for this. Like, why are you charging us? Like, because it's a 6-month season, motherfucker.
That's what happens, yeah.
And if
also,
we're gonna get raids and dungeons every 3 months,
yeah,
that's
like we got to pay for that somehow.
We're paying $10 for a season, that's. I'm sure it'll be in the free-to-play base after a certain period of time, right?
I actually don't know. I don't know if it will be. I don't want this to become a trend, though. I don't want to pay for packs like this every year. That would really annoy me if they went up to like 4 seasons and like a bonus season. Now, I do think this is only happening because there is a 6-month span here. I think they learned from Arrivals last year. Everyone dipped like end of August, beginning of September.
Yeah.
But we know this. So this season is not only going to we're getting Season of the Lost. We're getting the Bungie Anniversary Pack. You will have Festival of the Lost. You're going to have
pressure's on for Festival of the Lost this year, Bungie. I'm putting it out there.
Ornaments.
I don't care about the dino ornaments. I want something that's actually engaging. If they give me another Haunted Forest, I'm not playing it.
This is. I've been saying.
You'll play it. You won't like it, but you'll play it.
He will. He's going to sit here and bitch and moan, and we all know he's going to be logging and playing it. He's going to go private on his profile so nobody can see him doing it too.
I'm always private, baby.
Me too.
I like this a lot, though. I think that everything they showed today shows that they're committed to putting out more steady content than ever before. If we're getting seasonal content and we're getting a Pinnacle activity every single season, it's going to be harder and harder for me to step away.
Yeah.
Which is ultimately what you want when you have an ongoing game like this, right? But if I'm splitting my time between things like this and Halo and like whatever single player game comes out that I want, it's going to be a really good time for fans who like games like this. Like I was telling my buddy Ray last night, he plays a lot of Final Fantasy 14 online, and I know Nerd, you do too. This is my Final Fantasy. This is where I hang out. This isn't just a game that I boot up, they see the story, and I log out for the week. I come and I hang out with my friends. Like I'm living. It sounds corny, but like I live life in this game, right? Like I have had friendships through Bungie games that I never would have had. Like we become friends, you know, and the three of us here, like we became friends over playing this game together. And I think that's something Bungie really nailed on the head, both in their pre-stream and in their 30th anniversary video towards the end, where they were emphasizing like the friendships that you make. Like we all joke about the meme, the friends we made along the way. Like, what if that's the real Destiny? Like, well, it kind of is in a way. Like, for me, Bungie games, and this is something that was said by one of the speakers in the pre-show. He keeps coming back to Bungie games time and time again for 2 things, and that's the incredible storytelling and the communities. And I think that just sums up 30 years of Bungie right there. Incredible stories, incredible gameplay, and amazing lifelong friendships.
Yep.
Like you get attached to these characters. Like I got really misty-eyed during that video because literally Corey and I talked about this during the 30th anniversary on Bungie Day. It's like quite literally, as corny as it may sound, Bungie games literally changed my life. I got a confidence from playing Halo with my buddies online. That's the way I made friends in high school. Like, oh, you like Halo? I like Halo too. Like, let's be friends. And you guys have played with my friend Matt. Matt and I have been friends for 16 years now because of Halo, and then Destiny and things like that. You know, like practically the godfather to his son. Like it's these incredible memories and relationships, and I know we all have those ourselves. And so, any final thoughts on this showcase overall, on the future of Destiny? What do we? Oh, we didn't even talk the Final Shape. Final Shape is the final expansion for Destiny 2 as it exists right now. We don't know anything
square
about
ships.
it.
We got triangles. We got the sphere. We're gonna get some square ships.
Thumbs it up.
They're going to be parallelograms.
It's going to be the fucking board.
John, give me your final thoughts. Give me final thoughts here.
I am so excited for this next year. I think they proved this year with what they can do with seasons, and with them doubling down on PvP finally, hopefully, you know, so that side of the game won't just be reliant on sandbox updates in tandem with everything that we're going to be getting. I mean, I'm still having a hard time wrapping my head around a new dungeon or raid every 3 months. That is going to be wild. On top of the seasonal storytelling and all this new loot, and I'm excited to get off this phone call and go try to get into Season of the Lost.
It's funny. We're all going to get off this call and we're going to immediately get in a party together on it.
I'm in right now.
I will be as soon as I make it to my chair. I'm going to be editing while we're playing.
I think several times during the entire showcase I had some sort of emotional reaction, which is not something that happens to me easily, because it felt very much like watching parts of my life experienced through others happen the same way. And I think it's so unique that a company can not only tap into that, but harness it and recognize it and then show it back to you and be like, oh my God, like There are so many people
Yep.
that have done the same thing that I have, and we play together. Like there's so many people that I don't know that I've played together that have had the separate lives that have done the same. I don't know. It's hard not to love Bungie. It really is. And I think today was a perfect showcase of that.
Yep.
Yeah. Nerd, do you have any final thoughts?
I will. You guys perfectly encompassed it, and for the sake of letting these guys go and play the damn game, I'm gonna say you summed it up perfectly.
I'm gonna co-sign on all that. I've kind of given my final thoughts. Just it's amazing that this game still has me captivated going into year 8. We'll be celebrating year 8 in 3 weeks. Really, when Trials goes live, that's the beginning of year 8.
Yep.
September 10th, 11th, things like that. If you had asked me 8 years ago, after I finished the base campaign of Destiny, will you still be playing this in 8 years? I would have laughed you out of the room.
Right.
Right.
I mean, I liked the campaign. I defended a lot of vanilla Destiny 1. But it took Vault of Glass to change my mind. And even then, I stopped playing after I did Vault 1. So I was like, okay, I'm done. Matt had to drag me back and Screaming for the Dark Below. He dragged me back for House of Wolves. He dragged me back for the Taken King, for Rise of Iron, for all these things. Like, I had to keep getting dragged back.
You had to get dragged back into Destiny too.
I had to get dragged back into Destiny 2 as well. It was Forsaken that did it. When I saw they were going to kill off Kate, I was like, well, I got to see what happens here. I was so upset with vanilla Destiny 2 and with Curse of Osiris that I didn't want to play anymore. And now I've been consistently playing for 3 years. I don't think I've gone a week without logging in. At least logging in to go to Eververse or to just even play a little bit of PvP or something on my own. I met John at the end of Forsaken, you guys towards the end of Shadowkeep, and it's been one thing after another. Like, I'm excited to see what happens this year and the rest of this year and during Lightfall and the final shape, and to see where we go after that. This is an ever-evolving universe. They said when they set out to make Destiny, they wanted the lore to be on the level of something like Star Wars, and I think we've achieved that. I think we've achieved a franchise that we joke about. Oh, it's a dead game all the time, and it's people who played like us in Destiny 1 and were so disappointed and never came back, and they feel like it's too intimidating to come back. And I think that they've done a really good job. Come back. I implore you to come back
and come play with us, because now it doesn't matter where you're playing because crossplay is out.
It doesn't matter what you want to play as. There is something for everybody here. There is something for the casuals. There's something for the hardcores. There's something for the people in between. There is something for you. Game Pass on Xbox, on PC. It's on Steam. It's on PlayStation, wherever you want to play.
Yep.
And so with all that, I'm going to wrap up so we can all go get in on this season. I can join the queue. Thank you from all of us, from myself, from Corey, from Colonel, from Nerd, from John. Thank you for joining us for this special episode. Corey and I will be back Thursday night, Friday morning, whenever it posts. Podcast services around the world. We will be talking about the new season. It's going to probably be a pretty long episode because we want to talk about season. We want to talk about storyline. We want to talk about activities, stasis weapons. There's so much to talk about on Thursday, and we're excited. You're going to have some super, super packed episodes coming up. So from all of us, go enjoy festival, or not festival. God, that's going to take some getting used to. Season of Lost. Go watch the Witch Queen reveal multiple times, like I'm sure we're all going to, dissecting it frame by frame, and we will see you Starside. Thank you so much, everyone. There we go.